forcing contestants to reuse soiled feminine hygiene products for days, allowing female contestants to be physically mistreated by male contestants, creating a workplace where women are belittled and sexualized, and protecting an inner circle of executives linked to women mysteriously disappearing from the company after receiving suspiciously large sums of money. These are just some of the many allegations that MrBeast is currently facing, many of which seem to be stemming from what people suspect to be a general lack of respect for women and deeply misogynistic core values. And as MrBeast's own ex-girlfriend Maddie Spadell has said, "It's all our jobs to protect our friends, our moms, our wives, our sisters, our daughters, ourselves from people like that." It all started with a chain of events when Ava Chris Tyson, one of MrBeast's closest friends and a member of his team, formerly known as Chris Tyson, was accused of grooming a 13-year-old fan. An allegation that led to further sources surfacing with similarly disturbing evidence against Ava, all of which we covered in our previous video. But how can just one controversial member bring down an operation with a net worth of over $100 million? Well, you see, soon after the first round of allegations against Ava got mainstream attention, MrBeast tweeted a statement which said, "Over the last few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Chris Tyson's behavior online, and I am disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further actions based on their findings." The implication was clear. MrBeast had been unaware of Ava's alleged wrongdoings, and now that these accusations had surfaced, he was acting accordingly by separating himself. Many fans initially commended the YouTuber for the firm stance he was taking, with one user summarizing, "You did what's best. Thanks, MrBeast. Now back to improving the world one video at a time." But then came the first blow to MrBeast's credibility. It arrived in the form of a leak from one of Ava's alleged victims. Over 500,000 Discord chats from Ava's private server were now available for public consumption, exposing several inappropriate conversations between Ava, who was still known as Chris at the time, other adult members, and underage fans. But how did leaks from Ava's private server impact MrBeast? Well, amongst these messages, MrBeast himself wasn't just allegedly a witness to the inappropriate exchanges, but at times an active participant. For example, in one chat, after a user makes a comment about the size of Ava's appendage being small, MrBeast wrote, "No, I know his pea size, and it's huge." Ava replied back, "Haha, MrBeast joins in to comment on my size. I love it." For many, the chat served as clear evidence that, contrary to his earlier statement, MrBeast had known about Ava's behavior long before the allegations broke. No way Jimmy didn't know about this. So this seems to clearly indicate that MrBeast knew. MrBeast was a part of it, but oh, don't worry, he's investigating himself. Nonetheless, there were still those who felt the leak didn't exactly implicate MrBeast. MrBeast seemed to just never go in the server. He probably just joined it once and talked like 2 seconds and never went back to it again. In the 500,000 or so messages, this is the only one time MrBeast comments, and it's at the very beginning of the server history, well before MrBeast could have known there was any minors on it. From 2017, so Jimmy was what, 18 or 19 at the time? RIP 90% of the population at the time for being edgy and gay with the homies when they were teenagers. But if this was simply a matter of edgy humor that had aged poorly, why was the internet swarming with allegations that alluded to much more? It began on July 22nd when Jake the Viking, an internet personality who had previously worked with MrBeast, implied that the YouTuber had been complicit in Ava's behavior, tweeting, "Jimmy knew." Hours later, former MrBeast employee Dawson, known as Dogpack404, tweeted a video about his own experience with the YouTuber.
"My name's Dawson. I worked at MrBeast from February to May of this year, 2024. Chris is the tip of the iceberg. And when Jake the Viking says, MrBeast knew? Yeah, MrBeast knew. I heard many times that Ava, Chris Tyson, is a major liability, but they can't get rid of her because she's already threatened legal action and she knows too much. And when all this information comes out about everything that she knew, everything other people know, I promise you on everything MrBeast has done."
Though the video gained over 6 million views, it received heavy backlash with people accusing him of clout chasing and making up information. Yes, without any evidence to back up his allegation, the internet widely considered Dawson's statement of MrBeast baseless. But 2 days later, on July 24th, Dawson uploaded a YouTube video titled, "I worked for MrBeast, he's a fraud." And with that one post, the tides began to turn against MrBeast. In the 45-minute long upload, Dawson raised multiple allegations against his former employer, the first of these being that MrBeast fabricated his content.
MrBeast fakes his videos in ways that are worse than you realize. I say that because he's been exposed for faking videos before.
As Dawson pointed out, while MrBeast fans might claim this is all in the name of adding entertainment value, faking content is a serious allegation when authenticity is at the core of the MrBeast brand.
I remember when I first started seeing your videos, I was like, this shit's gotta be fake.
Oh yeah,
Like,
it's a
dude,
huge
so-
problem for us now. I actually have to dial back my content sometimes just so people think it's real. What we do is non-scripted, so you have to plan for a bunch of variables that you can't control. What we did was scripted. Holy shit, this stuff would be easy to pump out.
Have you ever faked a video?
No.
To validate his claims, Dawson combined several segments from different MrBeast videos that, according to him, appear to be fake.
This train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, this shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake, this raccoon is a paid actor, this island cost more than $1, this city is not abandoned, these buildings are CGI, but that's your only way out. You can literally get an Uber to the airport for $20. That's not a lurker. It's just a guy. This whole room is fake. This contestant is an actor and a secret employee at MrBeast. They had him dive through this fake door twice. This line is scripted. This action is scripted. In fact, pretty much all the videos with Mac are scripted.
In the nearly hour-long deep dive, Dawson also broke down a few of MrBeast's video in order to show how this content is fake. One of the videos he talked about was titled "In 10 Minutes, This Room Will Explode," an upload that gained over 116 million views. Of course, something that jumped out to Dawson was that the video was supposed to be set in real time.
Now immediately the intro is sped up and the timer is clearly added in post, and he clearly touches the laser here.
Still, even if you were to assume that the challenge had unfolded in real time, Dawson pointed out further hints that the stunt was faked.
When he reaches the bottom floor, he has to turn these water valves. Now you can tell that these valves aren't actually connected to anything because the water flows out in an instant, and it happens when he's not even touching the valve. The contestant also goes back to the first valve unaware that anything had happened, and he's still able to spin it. So the valve seems to spin freely and isn't actually connected to the flow of water.
Yet, according to Dawson, viewers hadn't just been misled when it came to the authenticity of MrBeast video premises, but their chances of being cast in these videos as well. The former employee claimed that contestants in MrBeast's content that were meant to be random subscribers were often the YouTuber's friends and employees.
Oh, that contestant had to get out for her job? I guess you forgot she's your hiring manager. I actually recognize a lot of people in this video, including Jimmy's own girlfriend. I found public records showing that Mac moved from California to Greenville, North Carolina, where Jimmy is located, back in August 2023, 2 months before he appeared as a contestant. According to a former MrBeast employee, this is around the time when Mac started working full-time on the editing team at MrBeast.
But say a random subscriber did make it onto a MrBeast competition. Were they really going to be given a fair shot? Well, define fair. See, according to an anonymous former employee Dawson spoke to, the 100 Boys vs 100 Girls for $500,000 video was rigged to avoid a PR problem if the boys won by too much. And this potential production-led interference, along with the alleged employee and friend-infested competition pool, meant the odds, well, they're allegedly stacked against the average fan.
Even though you got out first, I still have a prize for you. Just wait here.
Oh, first person out gets a car, and it just happened to be your friend Mac.
But that doesn't mean that MrBeast isn't looking out for his viewers. After all, didn't he create his chocolate bar brand Feastables in part to provide a healthier snackage option for his young viewership?
Like Hershey's, for example, there's 10 ingredients, super processed. Our Feastables bars are 5 ingredients, and just all the ingredients are way higher quality.
But then the recipe was suddenly changed.
Now in 2024, MrBeast changed the formula again to where it has mostly the same ingredients as Hershey's and even more sugar and more calories per bar.
And with this shift to make the bars more appetizing, along with the slim chances that Feastable purchases came with for customers to win a prize, it seemed to Dawson that Jimmy's driving force wasn't fighting childhood obesity, but profit.
I swear to God, I said to somebody at the company, I feel like Feastables is 70% a chocolate company and 30% a lottery targeting children. And this higher up person at MrBeast said it was probably closer to the other way around.
But if MrBeast only cared about profit, what did it mean when it came to all the lives the YouTuber had supposedly changed through his platform? Well, according to Dawson, it meant that not all was as it appeared. From the evidence Dawson presented, it could be argued that MrBeast only pretended to care about the hardships of others for the camera, while using his generosity to create viral content that lined his own pockets.
What we're actually going to do is be responsible and try to set Mark up for his future.
But according to Mark, MrBeast only gave him an hour to plan what house to buy and then gave him only 24 hours to spend the bulk of his money for a video.
Time. I wish I would have had
had more time, and I wish I would have planned out stuff better. Like,
These allegations not only hurt the image of the company, which is almost entirely based on being real and giving back to the fans, but cast doubt on what MrBeast's true intentions were.
It's all these things, when added together, ultimately lead people into thinking these challenges are not exactly challenges, but rather money-making ventures that ultimately aren't exactly meant to be for giving back. It's just meant to be enticing, exciting videos that ultimately do not, really give back randomly to people.
And even when MrBeast seemed at his most transparent, was it all a front to further exploit his viewers? See, Dawson also accused MrBeast of hosting illegal lotteries for his dominantly underage audience. Specifically, Dawson directed viewers' attention to a live stream that aired in August 2020, where MrBeast and his friends sold limited edition shirts to celebrate 40 million subscribers, purchases that came with incentives. And from prizes to random chance and the requirement the entrants spend money, the live stream had all the hallmarks of a lottery.
In 10 minutes, right, because we gotta give them time to do their cart, we'll give 2 orders $500 each. In 5 minutes, we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna put $1,000 in a random order. 2 minutes, newest order gets $2,000. Good luck, everybody.
According to Dawson, this was only a fraction of what the group advertised throughout the live stream.
During those 5 hours, I counted 46 illegal lotteries. These lotteries are also run poorly. Multiple times they would say something like, buy in the next 5 minutes for a chance to win. And then 7 minutes later go, actually, the newest order in 30 seconds is gonna win.
Of course, this claim meant that not only were MrBeast and his team allegedly hosting illegal lotteries, but they were profiting off of them.
It's insane that he can flip these massively profitable illegal lotteries targeted towards children as an act of generosity.
And as Dawson's video amassed over 13 million views, it wasn't long before this allegation and the rest made their way into public discourse and outrage. Yes, fans wanted answers, that much was clear. But how was MrBeast going to confront the backlash? Well, it turned out not personally. Instead, it was a team member, Chucky, who spoke up tweeting, "I want to quickly debunk some of the info in this video since the guy who made it was on my team. It was my decision to fire him for erratic behavior. He worked at the company for less than a month and wasn't an employee for most of the videos he mentions to have knowledge on." In the statement, Chucky responded to some of the accusations raised by Dawson in the video. The team member claimed that, unlike what Dawson said, there's probably hundreds or thousands of people who have no affiliation to friends/family of Beast employees in MrBeast videos. He also stated that just because they used CGI to change the background in videos didn't mean the train stunt was fake, that the videos and giveaways were real, and that Dawson's claim, or more likely joke,
"This raccoon is a paid actor,"
was untrue. For many, Chucky's statement was enough to debunk Dawson's allegations, and once again, fans believed Dawson was clout chasing and canceling MrBeast for no reason. But others noticed the lack of evidence and accountability for some of the more serious allegations in Chucky's response.
Imagine having allegations of conducting illegal lotteries, promoting gambling to kids, and all these other horrid things, right? And then you got Chucky on your team who responds with, but did this person really wink? Did they actually close their eyes halfway, or was it real or fake? Dude, way to deflect absolutely everything.
You're debunking whether a raccoon was a paid actor and if somebody actually winked in a video or not.
Like, come on. What the f are we talking about here?
Once it was clear that the internet's rage would not be settled by a simple statement from one of the team members, the YouTuber resorted to more drastic measures.
So, MrBeast's legal team did send me a cease and desist, and here's my official response to that.
Yes, the MrBeast team decided to send not one, but 2 cease and desist letters to Dawson, turning more suspicious eyes their way. The first letter, which was sent on August 1st, claimed that Dawson had disclosed sensitive and confidential information regarding the company's business operations and content creation methodologies following the employment termination. The second letter, which was sent by another firm only hours after the first one, also addressed the non-disclosure agreement but was more focused on the alleged defamation attempt against Jimmy and the MrBeast company. Yet, the mention of the NDA without directly noting any defamatory statements had internet users suspicious.
But the fact that the letter focuses on breach of non-disclosure, emphasizing that he is disclosing sensitive, confidential, and proprietary information regarding the company's business operations, makes me think that what little they might actually be able to dispute is inconsequential in the grand scheme. Cease and desist letters like this, especially ones that emphasize breach of non-disclosure contract, are intimidation tactics.
But what were MrBeast's threats of legal action attempting to cover up? The cease and desist had only made the internet more skeptical of what MrBeast was hiding. And soon enough, it seemed like the internet might have their answer when the spotlight shifted to one of MrBeast's latest series, Beast Games. Beast Games is MrBeast's new reality competition series in collaboration with Amazon MGM Studios. And with 1,000 contestants, a $100 million budget, and the biggest single grand prize in the history of television and streaming at $5 million, it was certain to be another smash success for the YouTuber. But before a single episode of this show was released, contestants started coming out with horrifying accusations about the on-set conditions. On July 27, 2024, YouTuber and internet personality Rosanna Pansino, who has previously raised allegations against MrBeast for scripting and faking his reality competitions, posted a video on her social media accounts. She claimed to have dozens of confessions from different contestants sharing their experience on the MrBeast set of the game show. The video was supposedly being filmed for MrBeast's YouTube channel and had 2,000 contestants, out of which 1,000 will be selected to compete in the rest of the show.
So the messages that I have received from contestants on the show are pretty much all telling a similar story, and I find them to be very disturbing. These people are genuinely upset about how things are going. They're scared for not only their own safety, but the safety of their friends who are still competing.
But what were the conditions at Beast Games really like? Well, one of the stories from contestants that Rosanna shared in the following days revealed awful allegations, including mismanaging, disregard for participants' safety, and several serious health incidents. The contestant shared, "It was really bad. People were having seizures because they were not getting medication, even though we were promised we would. And it was 100% rigged. They presented it as though the games would be like Squid Games, basically a type of game show where all the games are an even playing field. That was not at all the case. The games were about speed and strength, so only young athletic males were at an advantage over the women and elderly people that were casted. To make things worse, men started realizing that they could take out the women without being eliminated. Guys started tackling and hitting women. 2 girls were tackled and passed out on the field and dragged off to continue filming. I saw people with broken bones, stitches, and most were women." And further details drew an even more dystopian picture. We were given maybe 400 calories a meal and only fed every 12 hours. Food would run out and people would fight over, steal, and hoard food. Water was scarce and we kept running out as well. I had to sit with a bloody pad for 2 days before I could get undergarments and my reusable pads because I'm allergic to regular pads. We were also sleep deprived, only allowed to sleep 3 to 4 hours. We all slept on the floor of the stadium in a $10 sleep bag. The confession also revealed that the MrBeast team allegedly offered money to contestants, $1,000 each, in exchange for not joining a class action lawsuit. According to the source, after an article came out about the environment on set, an additional $1,000 per person was added to make up for the inconveniences. Another confession released by News 3 shared similar experiences. The contestant claimed that some participants were denied their medication, while sharing the experiences of a diabetic participant who was not given her insulin for 2 days. The source claimed, "It wasn't until she was passing out and became unconscious that they finally gave her her medication and supposedly adequate enough food." Similarly, another individual who was an older woman was allegedly not provided with her heart medication. Reportedly, many contestants were unable to speak openly about their experiences as they were tied by the NDAs, but statements from nearby hospital employees backed the confessions from anonymous contestants. In an article by Vital Vegas, a news publication based in Las Vegas, one hospital employee was quoted saying, "I'm aware of 3 or 4 hospital evacs today. Overnight shift said it was insane, so not sure if or how many hospital evacs there were. The production is a show, and unprepared for the scale. Making decisions as they go along. The bare bones medic staff on site is not adequate and were overwhelmed last night. They compete at night." More internet users have come forward with similar allegations about the show since then. And from photos of alleged injuries, complaints that contestants were essentially fed prison food, and further allegations about contestants not having access to their medicine, things weren't looking good for MrBeast and his team. But were the effects of Beast Games just physical, or had they taken a mental toll too? One alleged contestant posted a video where she went into detail about the devastating psychological effects that the competition had on her.
They actually come to me and asked me if I was okay, and I told them I wasn't. I told them that I wanted to die, and one of them had called a psychologist to come on set and talk to me, and that psychologist had even informed me shows like MrBeast, and I'm assuming probably similar type game shows, they kind of destroy the contestants. It is extremely psychologically damaging, and I really think that it should end.
The alleged contestant then revealed just how dark her thoughts had become since taking part in Beast games.
I made a video last night when I was prepared and planning on myself last night because I have already lost like everything else in my life, and being a part of the MrBeast games.
So how did these revelations impact MrBeast's standing online? Well, they certainly ignited a fresh wave of criticism against the YouTuber and his company. That is absolutely insane. It is sexist, ageist, and extremely unhealthy physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is absolutely awful, especially with the men being able to attack whomever they please and their terrible living conditions. I genuinely think this is illegal. Like, how can they just let people have seizures without giving them any medication? That is a risk to their lives. This is a literal fight for survival and a game from hell. How is this allowed to be a thing? As someone who has competed on multiple game shows, none of the others are like this, and one was even Wipeout. This is insane. But was MrBeast going to allow these allegations against him to remain unchecked? Not likely. A few days later, Rosanna Pansino posted another video claiming that she was being silenced for speaking against MrBeast in Beast games.
The video I posted is now only viewable in the US. It is blocked in every other country. I have not received an email from TikTok explaining why this happened. As of right now, someone is trying to silence me. I'll let you guys try and guess who would do something like that.
Yet despite the mounting backlash, had the internet truly turned against MrBeast? It appeared not. In fact, a significant portion of his fan base remained steadfast in their support of MrBeast, especially considering the generous prize he had for the competition. Isn't there like $1 million on the line? Do they expect it to be easy? Generally speaking, if you want to win free cash, you gotta go through some mental pressure. But after the publication of an explosive new expose, how would fans be able to defend the seemingly undefendable? On August 2nd, the New York Times published a piece titled, "Willing to Die for MrBeast and $5 million?" The article confirmed all of the claims Rosanna talked about in her videos, as well as revealing further disturbing details from dozens of the contestants. According to the Times, the opportunity to receive a cash award that could pay off student loans and medical debt lured several contestants into participating in the show, seemingly only increased the participants' suffering further. Throughout the games, contestants were given insufficient and infrequent meals, one of which several recalled consisting of a tiny portion of cold oatmeal, one hard-boiled egg, and a few pieces of raw vegetables. Every now and again, they'd be given Feastables chocolate bars by production, during which they made sure to capture the contestants eating and praising the candy. And despite filling out forms that asked for their dietary restrictions before the competition, contestants claimed that they were served food they were allergic to and that alternatives had not been provided. On top of living off rations that some were unable to consume, contestants weren't given proper medical care and had to participate in intense physical injury-causing challenges. And the results of pushing themselves to these extremes, well, they weren't pretty. When contestants reached out to production members for assistance when it came to medical, food, or hygiene issues, there were many times when they were allegedly yelled and cursed at. Like sources had told Rosanna, contestants were forced to go without medication, sometimes for hours, sometimes for days. This was despite allegedly being promised by production that they would receive their prescriptions on time while filming. Additionally, one contestant who couldn't take her medication on an empty stomach was initially denied food, with staff members allegedly telling her she didn't need to eat. According to the Times, after repeated requests, a member of the production eventually gave her half a banana. A number of contestants also had to wait hours to days to receive their clean undergarments, which production kept in Ziploc bags and was supposed to hand out every day. We signed up for the show, but we didn't sign up for not being fed or watered or treated like human beings, one contestant told the publication. Given the severity of these allegations, what did MrBeast's team have to say for themselves? Well, a spokesperson told the Times that the event was unfortunately complicated by the CrowdStrike incident, extreme weather, and other unexpected logistical and communications issues. They claimed that MrBeast had already started a formal review and had taken steps to ensure that we learned from this experience. This statement, however, didn't go over well with the public, including one of MrBeast's most vocal critics.
So, MrBeast's PR team is blaming blaming everyone but themselves. I don't understand how CrowdStrike prevents people from getting their medication. I don't understand how CrowdStrike prevents women from getting feminine products that they need. I don't understand how CrowdStrike gives low-quality food with no protein to contestants doing physical challenges.
The formal review, also from Rosanna Pansino's perspective, was, well, a joke.
So what, this is the second time in 2 weeks that MrBeast is investigating MrBeast? I'm gonna investigate myself. After I investigated myself, I have found that I myself have done no wrongdoings.
With public outrage only increasing, many were impatiently anticipating a response from MrBeast. So how would the YouTuber break his silence? A well-thought-out statement invalidating the allegations? A public apology? A ukulele-accompanied denial? Well, it turned out none of the above. MrBeast simply continued business as usual, posting another one of his regular videos without addressing the situation.
I just built this bunker, and these two people who have never met each other are going to attempt to live down here for the next 100 days.
Safe to say, this non-response did not go over well.
Yeah, I don't really think this is the time to be making content like that, bro.
In fact, several sources have claimed that the video has accumulated over more than 2 million dislikes so far, which is far higher than the 200K number reported by the MrBeast team. Still, the video's comment section was surprisingly free of backlash, begging the question, if people were disappointed by the recent allegations and silence from MrBeast, why weren't they expressing their disdain? The mystery was promptly resolved when viewers noticed that the MrBeast team was allegedly actively deleting negative comments. Yes, rather than respond to the growing controversy, it seemed the team was intent on shoving it under the rug, and, reportedly, not just on YouTube.
Much of Reddit is blocking threads on the topic. This includes his own subreddit that's ran by his staff. Even Twitter deleted a community post about MrBeast.
Yet, the allegations against MrBeast still mainly focused on the experiences of video participants and the trustworthiness of his content, leaving one vital question unanswered. What was it like to work with MrBeast? On August 7th, Dawson, who originally posted the viral video "I worked for MrBeast, he's a fraud," uploaded the much-anticipated sequel titled "I worked for MrBeast, he's a sociopath." According to Dawson, following his video, he received hundreds of messages from former MrBeast employees, some of whom voiced that the company was shady, hostile, and treated employees poorly. Former contestants also reached out, including some of the 100 Boys vs 100 Girls for $500,000 challenge, who claimed someone on the crew had made the girls uncomfortable.
You trap these girls in a circle and make them sleep on rough turf and get them paint fumes and then you try to them.
However, the focus of the video wasn't a compilation of allegations from various sources, but the experience of one person in particular. Former MrBeast employee Jake Weddle. But what had occurred during Jake's time working on and off screen at the company that made him want to speak out? Well, you might be familiar with the media backlash MrBeast faced in 2022 following one of his solitary confinement videos. It turns out, however, that the events of this upload were nothing compared to what had transpired during the unreleased original.
People don't know that was the second attempt. The first attempt was on me, and it didn't go well.
The premise of the video was simple. Jake had to stay in solitary confinement for a certain number of days in exchange for $300,000, and to make the experience comfortable, he would be even afforded some modern luxuries.
And they tell me the pitch. They try to make the pitch sound like it's gonna be like a walk in the park. The pitch is 100 days in solitary confinement, but don't worry, like you only have to last like 30, we have like a video. They're pitching it like at first it's gonna be like a luxury vacation. You're gonna have like a hot tub and an ice cream machine.
But while these features were included, the setup was by no means 5-star.
Yeah, there was a hot tub in it. Yeah, there was an ice cream machine. Like things were cool and funny on paper. But when you think about stuff, a hot tub that's not connected to a filtration system, give it 3 days, it's gonna stink. You know, there's not like a hot water mechanism, so the hot tub was a lukewarm tub at best, which was a silly complaint, but the shower was always cold, and you're taking like a quick shower, and I had cameras 24/7 on me, and the ice cream machine, let's talk about that for a second. The ice cream machine has 2 modes, on, and off, reeking of smelly dairy, mildew.
On top of the smells, the frigid showers, and the lukewarm hot tub, Jake was allegedly deprived of one basic need: sleep.
It got to a point where like they weren't turning the lights off. You know, I I said, can we like have like nighttime hours? You know? And they said no, because it would f the time-lapse shots. The time-lapse of what? Me sleeping? Or me not sleeping?
Additionally, Jake claimed he was given challenges, which one midnight included running a marathon on a treadmill with no previous training.
Yeah, I'm running until 3 a.m. I got off the treadmill. Oh, the blisters I had on my feet were like, you wouldn't believe. I couldn't walk. My muscles were like just the lactic acid.
Still, there were people on set who allegedly tried to come to Jake's aid when he continually asked for the lights to be turned off.
I had good people looking out for me. I had a lot of good people looking out for me saying, this, we gotta stop.
And according to Jake, at least one person at the shoot was well aware of the lines that were being crossed.
And I go up to my friend, my good friend. And I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists. Oh, good. 24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention.
Yes, MrBeast and his team had allegedly committed a war crime, and still it wasn't forgiveness they supposedly wanted from Jake, but gratitude.
This is the note I got from the director, from Jimmy, when I'm receiving some cash. He said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that? And pretend to make it genuine?
As Jake's mental health deteriorated, the plug on the experiment was pulled, and while he didn't get the $300,000, the experiment did leave him with lasting insomnia and pain. Jake's account not only lends credence to the previous accusations surrounding the Beast games, but also forced the internet to see all of MrBeast's previous videos with a critical eye.
The thing is, looking back now on every single MrBeast style challenge video, whereas before you would have seen just a bit of fun, wow, that looks great, you can win a lot of money, look at how much fun everyone is having, is now with all these new accusations that have come out and allegations, that you just look at these challenge videos and you think these are just like some Squid Game level challenge. Like, no one in these videos were having a good time. No one went into these videos thinking, oh hey, I'm gonna be absolutely messed up after I've been on these videos.
But was it the mistreatment of employees that made the MrBeast set a reportedly toxic environment, or was there another factor that made those who worked for the YouTuber uncomfortable? See, the accusations Jake levied against MrBeast went beyond mistreatment on set.
Well, there was a known sex offender, registered sex offender, convicted sex offender, on the registry and everything, who worked there.
And while Jake acknowledged that people could end up on the registry for something as simple as public urination and that rehabilitation was possible, in this case, he wasn't so sure.
But that guy, from what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people. And they knew that.
Yes, that's right. Jake accused MrBeast of hiring a registered SO in one of his videos. Jake then went into more detail about the alleged person and the video he was featured in to back his claims. Though he even himself admits to not having enough evidence to absolutely prove it, the information he provided draws a dark and disturbing picture of what happens behind the scenes of YouTube's biggest channel. But as MrBeast's past resurfaced, someone else re-emerged into the spotlight, his ex-girlfriend Maddie Spidell. And as a series of cryptic social media posts suggested, she was not here to defend her ex's honor. So what did the former flame want to get off her chest? Well, while Maddie's relationship with MrBeast that spanned 2019 to 2022 seemed like a fairy tale romance at the time, her recent social media posts hinted that all had not been what it appeared. Without naming names, Maddie posted an Instagram story directed at YouTube where she asked the platform to reevaluate who they are putting on the trending page. She then posted to her story again, writing, "I don't want drama, I don't want anything, I just want to speak up for my 19-year-old self." While she still refrained from using any names, this would have been around the time she was dating MrBeast. Maddie went on to describe her previous relationship as a cautionary tale and warned her followers that how he treats other women will ultimately be how he treats you. She wrote, "I do not aim to take anyone down, just simply and explicitly tell you that there are scary people out there, people who will hurt you, use you, spit you out, and then tell you it's your fault. It's all our jobs to protect our friends, our moms, our wives, our sisters, our daughters, ourselves from people like that." Hours later, Maddie tweeted, 3 years away from that weirdo. My skin is clear, my relationships and friendships are flourishing, I'm frolicking in a field. Then, appearing to address the backlash her posts have received for not naming MrBeast directly or giving details, she wrote, "She's so vague. She said nothing. From the looks of it, I don't need to. Not putting myself through that again, but thanks." Still, was it possible that MrBeast had changed? He had, after all, seemingly made steps towards making his business a safer place to work. Yes, a recent leaked internal email revealed that MrBeast had hired Quinn Emanuel, a top-tier law firm, to do a full investigation of the Ava Tyson allegations and announced company-wide changes to create a culture that would keep employees safe. A number of fans were satisfied with the response, took responsibility, and is taking action. Basically what I expected from him. He's holding himself accountable. W, MrBeast, yet people will still find a way to hate on him. Shake my head. But others were suspicious. Was the message really leaked, or was this just a strategic marketing tactic designed to make MrBeast look like he was doing the right thing? Rosanna Pansino had reason to believe the latter, as she tweeted, "MrBeast has hired Matthew Hilzik's crisis management company. Matthew Hilzik began his PR career at Weinstein Miramax. Matthew Hilzik is a lawyer and a publicist who represents politicians and Hollywood figures. Shortly after MrBeast hired Matthew, a MrBeast company email was leaked. I believe this was their first strategic move attempting to rebuild Jimmy's image in the public, and it turned out Rosanna's hunch that the email was a PR move might have been right on the money. After all, she'd been sent another alleged leak from the MrBeast camp, and at this time, doing the right thing didn't seem to be one of the YouTuber's top priorities. But what had Rosanna received that could make her opinion of MrBeast lower than it already was? In a video that was uploaded August 13th, Rosanna explained that she was sent an alleged internal employee manual, a document that according to her sources was all too authentic.
I confirm the legitimacy of this document with 2 former MrBeast employees.
As for the author of the manual, well, that was reportedly the head honcho himself, MrBeast. And boy, was the version of himself printed in this text a far cry from the employee safety concerned boss he presented in the leaked email.
To me, the mask has begun to slip, and it truly is a small look into the mind of the beast.
Instead of looking out for the people who worked for him, the MrBeast in the alleged manual was more interested in how his employees could benefit, or rather, serve him. He allegedly wrote that he only wanted A players, a breed of underlings described as obsessive, coachable, and without excuses. But if there were A players, what did the boss consider to be B and C players? Well, according to the manual, B players were new employees that needed to be trained into A players, unless they wanted to become members of a group MrBeast had no tolerance for, C players, aka average employees. C players were described as people who saw their job as, well, a job. It was something that they were paid to do and that they didn't care about being obsessive about. And according to MrBeast, this meant they were poisonous to the company and needed to find work elsewhere.
Anyone who has a healthy work-life balance relationship is poisonous.
But what happened if an employee made a simple mistake? After all, no matter how good someone is at their job, there's sure to be a moment where they slip up, right? Well, luckily, if employees followed MrBeast's alleged simple rule to own their mistakes.
The hypocrisy! Jimmy, you don't even learn from your mistakes.
The manual reassured them that there was nothing to be afraid of, as MrBeast never fired someone on the spot for messing up. A statement that according to Rosanna's sources was true, albeit misleading.
I have confirmation that instead, he has his mom fire them the next day.
And this ruthless attitude lines up with the statements made throughout the manual that position content above all else. For example, in one section, MrBeast allegedly wrote, "If the studio is burning down and you stop working to put out the fire, that's your fault. Jokes, haha, but seriously, don't let anything come before your prios."
This way of thinking is psychotic. This is dangerous. It is absolutely unacceptable.
So was there anyone MrBeast looked out for other than himself? Well, it turned out there was. To be precise, there were 4. Yes, it seemed the only human lives that MrBeast valued were his friends, Chris, Carl, Chandler, and Nolan, that the manual refers to them as the talent and warns employees not to talk to. Contestants also appeared to be undervalued, with just one stipulation not to leave them waiting in the sun, at least not for 3 hours. Squid Game it cost us $500,000, and Boys vs. Girls it got a lot of people out, MrBeast allegedly wrote. Ask James to know more. But who is James? At the mention, Rosanna hinted at more scandal to come.
He's referring to an employee called James Warren. You'll probably be hearing this name a lot more in the future, and I'll be covering stories involving him as well.
Yet when it came back to MrBeast's current scandal, what was the most relevant piece of information from the alleged leak? Well, standouts from the alleged manual include a no does not mean no policy that preaches persistence while making light of the no means no slogan against SA, the endorsement for employees to take all-nighters, statements that amount to boys will be boys, the declaration that the channel doesn't fake things, and a line about wanting every dollar spent for a video to be visible on camera.
And this is why so many people say that he only does charity for camera, because if he can't film it, he doesn't want to do it.
However, the biggest nail on the head moment is an emphasis made throughout the document that employees never do anything that could make the company look bad from a PR standpoint.
They mention multiple times how important their PR image is, but not once in the entire document do they ever reference doing the right thing.
And with that, was all the information Rosanna had against MrBeast now public? Well, according to YouTuber Adam McIntyre's recent interview with Rosanna, not yet. But what secrets was Rosanna still holding on to? Well, according to the YouTuber, she'd been receiving messages from various sources regarding MrBeast for weeks.
A lot of people told me they're scared because, they signed an NDA. They're scared because they're scared of MrBeast. They're scared of his company.
And Rosanna, being familiar with MrBeast's supposed MO,
in every situation, he just chooses money over people.
Took note of what they said. But the people Rosanna was most concerned for were those still in MrBeast's clutches, the contestants of Beast Games. Yes, the competition was ongoing, and the fact that MrBeast had never worked on a project of this scale frightened Rosanna, especially after she was told that he was not making use of the show's $100 million budget to protect participants.
I was told by multiple people that he wanted to hire only non-union workers so he wouldn't have to pay benefits. Everything I'm hearing is just stuff that I've experienced, that he's cheap, takes in money, and then will make stuff on the cheapest at the expense and safety of people.
According to Rosanna, these issues came down to the fact that Amazon allegedly gave MrBeast complete control of the show under the impression that he would deliver a professional production. Rosanna, however, was not adamant that MrBeast was capable of this.
I know how he runs his videos, and they're very unsafe, and I've heard stories from ex-employees about how many injuries have happened in his actual YouTube videos that people don't know about. People getting very injured and then give him hush money to never talk about it.
And from what Rosanna had heard, the next phase of the competition promised further danger. See, for the second leg of the competition, contestants had reportedly been flown out to Canada, where many received their first psych evaluation.
So for the first round, some people didn't get background checks and didn't get psych evaluations.
This meant that a number of MrBeast superfans were allegedly eliminated from the show.
They were saying that some of the fans who wanted to be on the show were cult followers, like they would die for him. They were mentally not right.
And not only was the oversight not to include background checks and psych evals early on allegedly leading to contestants being kicked off the competition halfway through, but it had reportedly led to a man named Armani Izadi competing on the show. But what made this contestant dangerous? He was previously charged with at least 20 counts for battery, kidnapping, pandering, pimping, and robbery. He pled guilty to the pimping charge, acknowledging the significant evidence against him. He allegedly also slept near female contestants before being kicked off set for inappropriate behavior. Some of the female contestants confirmed being very uncomfortable around him. He is also friends with Jake Paul and other influencers. But while Armani was no longer on set, that didn't mean contestants were safe. So what did MrBeast have planned? According to Rosanna, he had hired a new production team for the second leg of the show.
I just don't think that that's enough time to safely plan and execute all of the challenges that they have.
Especially considering the dangers involved in one of the challenges Rosanna had heard mentions of.
I've heard that the contestants are going to be dropped into the ocean and have to swim to an island.
And while contestants had allegedly been interviewed in preparation for this stunt to see if they were comfortable swimming in open water, from what Rosanna had heard, they might not have told the truth.
And a bunch of the contestants that I've been talking to said they're really nervous because some people that they know on the show lied and said that they can swim and they can't. They just were so desperate for the money that they were like, surely they wouldn't throw us in an ocean. And surely there'd be enough safety people there if something went wrong.
Yes, Rosanna was concerned, and it seemed she had reason to be. After all, she was already receiving reports that the second phase of the competition was experiencing further issues after contestants allegedly saw the rules to a competition ahead of time, leading to eliminated contestants being called back. But were her attempts to draw attention to the dangers of Beast Games futile? Rosanna's content on the subject was already being suppressed, with one TikTok being blocked in every country except the US.
I definitely think that there's powers that be that are doing damage control.
And even if she did get the word out, MrBeast's fan base wouldn't be easily swayed.
It's like, that's my hero. I'm not ready to hear that he has a boys club, runs a boys club, that he's sexist, that There's no women in leadership positions at his entire company except for his mom.
But if the prospects of going up against his loyal supporters didn't scare his critics, MrBeast had other ways to silence them. See, remember the cease and desist MrBeast's team fired at Dogpack 404? Well, it turned out more was at risk for the former employee than it originally seemed if he continued his crusade against his ex-employer. But what did MrBeast have in store for Dogpack 404? According to the full leaked document obtained by the Daily Mail from a company insider, the cease and desist accused Dogpack 404 of purposely defaming the company for one purpose only: revenge. The cease and desist read, "You have no understanding of the inner workings of MrBeast given that you only spent 3 weeks at the company on a trial basis before you were fired for conduct even you have characterized as inappropriate." The cease and desist went on to claim that Dogpack 404 was let go after he repeatedly ignored his supervisor and spent company resources on something he described as a toy. Still, he allegedly continued to plead for his job back, leading the company to conclude that unlike the narrative Dogpack 404 was trying to spin, MrBeast was a great place to work. The cease and desist threatened legal action if the alleged defamation continued, and the reputation of the lawyer behind the document meant that this warning was not to be taken lightly. His name was Alex Spiro, a $2,000 an hour Powerhouse attorney whose clients included Elon Musk, Alec Baldwin, and more. According to the Daily Mail, Alex was also leading the internal audit of the company to determine whether it was a toxic workplace, as recent allegations had suggested, or these were simply growing pains. Yet despite the clear warnings veiled in this document, when reached for comment by the Daily Mail, Dogpack 404 stuck to his guns, claiming, MrBeast has knowingly kept rapists and pedophiles on payroll, allegedly for legal reasons, although I think some of them were convicted. But who were these supposed predators in MrBeast's midst? On August 28th, Dogpack 404 posted a new video elaborating on his claims. This upload, however, was not the promised part 3 of his series, which was still in the works.
I sort of overestimated how easy that would be, as far as like getting everything approved with victims and lawyers and like.
But while there were major allegations Dogpack 404 was sitting on, there were some he felt prepared to make public. These claims revolved around 3 people: James Warren, LaKoya Hill, and MrBeast himself. But hold on, does one of those names sound familiar?
He's referring to an employee called James Warren. You'll probably be hearing this name a lot more in the future, and I'll be covering stories involving him as well.
Yes, it was finally time to unmask the elusive James Warren. So who was this mysterious figure, and what part did he play in the potential collapse of MrBeast's empire? Well, according to Dogpack 404, James was MrBeast's cousin as well as his secret CEO.
When I say secret, because they're not very open about that fact. Like he doesn't post about it on social media. It wasn't ever attached to his LinkedIn.
But why the secrecy? Well, perhaps this had to do with James's not so shining reputation. According to Dogpack 404 sources, the CEO was an aggressive person with his rage allegedly manifesting verbally towards his employees and physically towards his girlfriends.
There's allegedly charges that were filed against him, and I say allegedly because it turns out there's a lot of people in North Carolina named James Warren who assault their girlfriends, I guess.
But these weren't the only allegations against James. According to Dogpack 404 sources, James was a former addict who offered illegal substances and services from SWs in exchange for editors at MrBeast working late. And then there was an incident that's still shrouded in secrecy, allegedly involving James and a female colleague that ended in the female leaving the company with 3-year severance.
I'm still actively looking into this incident, so if you have information, let me know. But I've heard from multiple credible sources that this is true and this did happen.
Dogpack 404 then clarified why he was publishing this video, in hopes that more would surface. After all, that's what had happened last time.
Like after the Jake Weddle interview got posted, which was all mostly testimony, people came out corroborating a story, and then ultimately Jimmy ended up apologizing and offering him $190,000.
Yes, MrBeast had privately reached out to Jake with an offer to compensate the former employee for his pain.
For me, the personal apology, the person-to-person thing, there was no lawyers around, it wasn't a spectacle, there was no camera in my face. I respected that. That's how I would have wanted it to go down. But I couldn't take it. Because it's still a mechanism of the game. It's still like the rest of the prize money, and that's not what it was about.
And while Jake did end up accepting $50,000 from MrBeast after a heartfelt conversation with his former employer, Dogpack 404 didn't see this money as a peace offering, but something more revealing, an admission of guilt.
You don't apologize for things that you didn't do.
Getting back to the allegations against James, Dogpack 404 revealed that the secret CEO's former business partner was sentenced to 10 years for running a real estate Ponzi scheme, something James, knowingly or not, recruited victims for.
I personally believe that when he was working with Mr. Hutchins, he was in similar company. I think the COO of acquisitions would know and be sort of responsible for properties not being properly acquired through the court system.
But what dirt did Dogpack 404 have on James's alleged bestie, LaQuia Hill? From university to real estate to MrBeast, the two men had risen their ranks side by side. Well, that is, except for LaQuia's solo business venture before joining MrBeast.
By 2017, LaQuia Hill was running an adult entertainment event business in San Francisco called LaQuia Hill Entertainment.
It was 2 years later, in 2019, that LaQuia started working for MrBeast as a producer. However, after allegedly essaying his assistant, he was let go from the company in 2021. Well, sort of.
Now, I put fired in quotation marks because he was actually quietly moved to the dubbing company, which was Unilingo at the time.
Yes, LaQuia was simply moved to the dubbing company MrBeast used for his content before MrBeast launched his own suspiciously similar dubbing company, Creator Global. This, however, was not a permanent switch. In 2023, LaQuia was brought back to MrBeast and promoted to Chief Operating Officer. Yet while this 2-year break might have been enough to take the heat off the situation, it was not enough to erase the memories employees allegedly had of working with LaQuia. According to the sources Dogpack 404 had messaged, LaQuia was known for booking hotel rooms with only one bed, walking around in his underwear, and showing his assistant his collection of adult toys. In fact, it was alleged that the same assistant he reportedly victimized was still at the company when LaQuia returned. The COO had also allegedly built a reputation for being very uncomfortable on shoots. Still, the company had allegedly tried to keep the incident with his assistant, who had allegedly been 18 at the time, as well as further alleged SAs and roofie attempts by LaQuia, quiet. Yet, according to that recently leaked email, it seemed LaQuia was no longer a part of the company, as MrBeast used the message to announce the company's new president and COO, a man named Jeff Housenbold. But was LaQuia really gone? Maybe, but not far. See, when pursuing the leaked in for MrBeast's dubbing company Creator Global, Dogpack 404 realized that the business had gone private to remove the names of the employees. And while most of these profiles still had identifying profile pictures, one didn't.
I thought, you know what, that's a little suspicious.
So Dogpack 404 reached out to one of his inside sources at MrBeast and asked them to look into the account.
And this is what they saw. LaQuia Hill, listed as the current president at Creator Global.
Yes, the producer who had been transferred to Unilingo, where, according to an alleged audio recording between James Warren and a Unilingo representative, his shady business dealings with MrBeast's company continued.
I need a favor. Sue cannot process this bonus through Beast. I need a solid. Can you please process a $28K bonus for LaQuia?
Until he was hired back at MrBeast and allegedly let go, was now working at the dubbing company that, according to Dogpack 404, he had poached clients from Unilingo to help MrBeast build. But how responsible was MrBeast for the bad actors his business enabled? Well, according to his critics, as the person who created the environment that allowed this toxicity to fester, entirely. A former female employee messaged Dogpack 404 about her experience working for MrBeast. She wrote, "On my very first day, I was told to avoid being alone in a room with certain people in positions of power." She claimed that during her time at the company, she was subjected to inappropriate interactions at least once a week. Once a male coworker asked me what I would do if Jimmy SA'd or harassed me, she alleged. On another occasion, this same coworker said it wasn't fair that women could just decide a past sexual encounter wasn't consensual. But of course, this wasn't an issue with just one coworker. The source claimed SA jokes involving not just women, but children were a daily occurrence. Screaming and hitting walls was also allegedly common. She wrote, "The minute any woman leaves a room, they talk about if/how they would F her. I've heard many men comment on female contestants' bodies many times. If you speak out about any of this, you'll be shamed for being too sensitive or just ignored. You can't take anything to HR either, because Jimmy's mom runs it." The source claimed it was common for employees to be paid to leave or stay quiet. She also alleged that employees weren't given an employee handbook that would inform them on the policies.
Which is true. The leaked document is just the production manual, not given to all employees.
Jess, Ava Chris Tyson's former assistant who accused her of SA, also spoke to Dogpack 404. She claimed her interactions with Jimmy were sparse in that he was more reserved around her since she wasn't a part of his boys club. "I did hear Jimmy straight up say that the guy making a documentary on him right now has footage of him saying stuff that would absolutely get him cancelled," she alleged. "It's just a well-known thing the boys club is misogynistic and looks down on women in the company, despite what they may say publicly. Behind closed doors, the women in the company know that the culture is a problem. I have heard multiple stories of Jimmy being directly informed of SA happening at the company and proactively working on to keep it quiet. The reason all of this was able to happen for so long is because Jimmy is deeply misogynistic to his core and only respects what he considers to be traditional women.
He pushed those values onto the company when he created it, and it resulted in several SA we know about and probably a lot more we don't know yet. And remember that email? You know, the one where MrBeast named the new president and COO of the company? Well, it turned out his pick for the position, Jeff Hausenbold, wasn't exactly the breath of fresh air the business desperately needed. In fact, Jeff was recently under fire for allegedly helping to foster his own toxic workplace as the managing partner at SoftBank Vision Fund.
Here's New York Post. Nasty executives shaped macho culture at SoftBank Vision Fund. And here's Bloomberg Business Week. SoftBank Vision Fund employees depict a culture of recklessness. It has also been described as an environment of sycophancy and harassment.
Bloomberg proceeded to call Jeff out by name, alleging that, in a discussion about whether to invest in the stationary bike startup Peloton Interactive Inc. in 2017, according to two people who were in the meeting, Hausenbold opined that its exercise equipment appealed in part to men who masturbated to its workout videos. And with that final blow, Dogpack404 had said his piece, at least for now.
I do have more information that I'm trying to get out, trying to get permission from the victims and everything. Also trying to save some things for when MrBeast responds.
This, however, hasn't stopped others from carrying on the MrBeast takedown, both through virtual and legal means. But after everything had already come out about MrBeast, was there any dirt left to bury the YouTuber for good? On September 19th, YouTuber The Asher Show spoke with former MrBeast editor and post-production manager Trey Yates, who described the work environment at the company. According to Trey, MrBeast employees were expected not only to push themselves,
every single holiday you can think of, I worked those holidays,
but to exceed their limits, with higher-ups allegedly offering medication that would allow them to do just that.
There was a time in summer of 2020, it might have been fall, where Adderall was being passed around the company.
According to Trey, this alleged lack of professionalism also extended to video shoots. One example the former employee gave was MrBeast's I Got Hunted by the FBI upload, which Trey claimed that the second time they shot the video after the first shoot didn't go as planned.
The first time that they recorded it, they didn't vet the FBI agent talent properly, and it ended up that guy was a psychopath and bumped into the car that Ava and Chandler and all the other talent were in, and made them drive off the road and crash.
As for how MrBeast allowed all this to take place at his company, well, according to Trey, his former boss wasn't exactly a people person.
Jimmy never asked about how I was doing or anything, because Jimmy is, quite frankly, a sociopath.
But where were all of these allegations against MrBeast heading? Well, potentially straight to court.
Well, it's definitely been a rough couple of weeks for old MrBeast, who is now at the center of multiple scandals.
We have been covering it, and ultimately we wondered where it was going to go. Well, now we have it.
MrBeast is not catching a break over the last couple of months as he keeps getting hit with new allegations, this time in the form of a lawsuit.
That's right. MrBeast and Amazon have become the targets of a lawsuit seeking class action status after a complaint was filed on behalf of 5 unnamed female Beast Games contestants on September 16th in Los Angeles Superior Court.
All of their names are anonymous because they want to protect their identity, obviously. I feel like, have you ever met a MrBeast fan? Yeah, I get it, girl.
The suit is seeking compensation for alleged unpaid wages and expenses, as well as unspecified punitive monetary damages. Among the 54 pages, a number of which have been redacted from public view, the lawsuit echoes that same allegations that have plagued the game show for months: that contestants weren't given the proper medical care, that they were denied basic necessities such as food, sleep, and hygiene, and that they were forced to participate in unsafe competitions. As one of the plaintiffs identified in the lawsuit as contestant 5 stated in the complaint, "I expected to be challenged, but I didn't think I would be treated like nothing, less than nothing." There were also new revelations that emerged from the filing. According to the suit, the unnamed contestants particularly and collectively suffered during their time competing in Beast Games, a set that allegedly systematically fostered a culture of misogyny and sexism. This leads into one major allegation revealed by the suit: SH. Yes, the same unwelcome behavior that had already, deservedly or not, come to characterize MrBeast's co-workers and company was now linked to the YouTuber's latest venture, with the lawsuit alleging Amazon and MrBeast failed to prevent these from occurring. But the suit doesn't stop at what allegedly transpired during Beast Games. Instead, attorneys are looking to establish a pattern of SH, and one way they've done this is by citing MrBeast's alleged employee handbook, specifically the section that states, if talent wants to draw a D on the whiteboard in the video or do something stupid, let them. Really do everything you can to empower the boys when filming and help them make content, help them be idiots. Yet, the most potentially damaging allegation from the suit doesn't have anything to do with the environment at Beast Games, but the budget. See, according to the lawsuit, the production provided false information to state officials in Nevada in an effort to secure unearned tax credits. The plaintiffs allegedly did this by misrepresenting contestants, including the 5 anonymous participants at the center of the lawsuit, as Nevada residents to receive over $2 million in incentives from the state. So how did MrBeast respond to these allegations? Well, the same day this complaint was filed, MrBeast did speak out, but not to acknowledge the lawsuit. Instead, the YouTuber took to social media to announce his latest business venture, Lunchly, a topic we'll be discussing in further detail in a future video. For now, all you need to know is MrBeast is not laying low like most creators do when finding themselves in controversy. But then again, neither are his critics. After all, on September 26 came the collab no one saw coming. It began when Rosanna Pansino posted to her channel's community page, stating that after her string of recent reports on the evolving MrBeast controversy, the main focus of her channel would no longer be just baking, but include videos on matters close to her heart. "This is the new me moving forward. I will now be serving cookies and tea," Rosanna wrote. And what better way to usher in this new era of her channel than to upload a video on her favorite trending topic? Yes, Rosanna's new video titled "MrBeast is a Criminal" leaked video was the latest installment in her ongoing series exposing the YouTuber. In the description, she clarified, "Everything in this video is alleged." Rosanna then teased more info to come, adding, "MrBeast also has a criminal record, including being arrested for street racing at 122 miles per hour. As it turns out, this claim can be traced back to 2018 when the Facebook page of a local North Carolina newspaper reported that one James Stephen Donaldson had been charged along with another driver for traveling at 122 miles per hour in a 70 miles per hour zone during an alleged speed competition. In the description to the video, Rosanna also linked a 2017 New Yorker article on the Cloak of Charity that discussed the way Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, and other disgraced figures used philanthropy to draw attention away from their less noble actions. But surely MrBeast, YouTube's unofficial king of giving back, wasn't among their ranks, right? Well, according to Rosanna, MrBeast had a little problem. See, 7 years ago, a Reddit account allegedly belonging to MrBeast warned others not to gamble after losing tens of thousands in crypto. At the time, he would have been 19, well under the legal gambling age in North Carolina. And while a post from an unofficial account might not be a lot to go on, as Rosanna's video emphasized, MrBeast had talked about gambling underage before.
Gambling? I used to gamble a lot.
Really?
Fun times, yeah.
You're not even 20. Yeah, you're not even...
That question, but
yes, according to Rosanna, it was clear as day. MrBeast had an addiction.
I loaned Bitcoin to MrBeast, who had a gambling problem at the time.
But as devastating as this alleged issue could be to MrBeast on a personal level, his behavior both online and reportedly offline meant the supposed risk-taking compulsions affected others.
I am sympathetic to gambling addictions. I actually know someone in my personal life who suffers from this, but he's not just hurting himself. He is exposing children to gambling. And I've also heard it's even escalating more. I've heard from Beast Game contestants that it feels like he's gambling with their lives.
According to Rosanna, she heard that MrBeast had a habit of allegedly pressuring friends and employees to gamble with him through both legal and illegal venues. And from Rosanna's investigative efforts, it was possible these weren't the only instances where MrBeast allegedly sidestepped the law. In a clip from Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive, MrBeast talked about being on a call hosted by a man named Gary Vee that included Logan and about 30 other people, which, according to podcast host, meant
every heavy hitter you can imagine that was worth $1 billion was on this one call.
Gary then convinced them all to buy NFTs at once, a request that struck Rosanna as suspicious, especially considering he had allegedly told MrBeast that this would be the best decision of his life.
I'm just asking questions, but does that sound like he has insider information to anyone else? Does it sound like that?
It was possible Rosanna's instincts were spot on. After all, she had received a message from an alleged inside source who had hinted at as much.
I was once in a small gathering with James Warren. James Warren is MrBeast's former CEO, and he dropped a truth bomb that stuck with me. Quote, "The shit we've done in the crypto market, if we'd done in the stock market, the SEC would be after us."
But how did MrBeast's alleged irresponsibility with money connect to his charitable pursuits? Well, to help fill in the blanks, a special guest joined Rosanna for the second half of her video. Dogpack404. During his own investigation, the former MrBeast employee discovered one of MrBeast's alleged crypto accounts, where that YouTuber had over $10 million in crypto in April 2021.
Wait, how much is that?
That's a lot of money for a guy who gives away all his money.
Yes, MrBeast's alleged tendency to throw millions into the crypto space didn't exactly align with the man who claimed to put everything he had into his videos and charity.
Are you one of the rich people they want to eat? Or are you
I'm not that rich.
Not yet.
You are way more rich than me.
But I give my money away. I'm poor.
But then again, how much was MrBeast really giving away? Well, according to a Time magazine interview with the YouTuber from February, MrBeast brought in $700 million a year while spending $100,000 on his charity channel a month.
So annual revenue, $700 million, and you're donating $100K to your charity every month. What percentage is that? What percentage of all of your revenue is donated to your charity? Out of all of the money that he makes, he donates about 0.2% to charity, which I also want to remind everyone watching that donating that money is also a tax write-off. So when he says that he gives all of his money away, that is not true. And when he says he reinvests all the money into his videos, that is also not true.
In fact, from what Rosanna had seen, she believed MrBeast's budget for gambling was higher than his budget for charity. But even when MrBeast did seemingly put his money to good use, was everything as it appeared? Dogpack404 pointed to evidence that MrBeast's charitable acts weren't as monumental as his videos made them seem. For example, when MrBeast showed images of the 100 wells he allegedly built in Africa for a video, it appeared the same well was pictured twice. Then there was the hospital MrBeast transformed that, when compared to the director's behind-the-scenes footage, appeared to have been edited to look like it was in greater disrepair than it originally was.
There's a building behind it. So in this opening shot, where MrBeast says, "This is what the hospital looked like a month ago," they digitally removed the entire hospital to make it look like they built the hospital.
And according to Dogpack404, it wasn't just the befores that MrBeast videos doctored in order to fit their narrative.
But I think there is some part of a real building here, but then they just use generative AI or editing or whatever to expand it, because it's like, there's things, look at that.
No.
And then like the building here is like expanding, so it's like they added on the whole back half of the building. The flowers here are like not lining up. You can barely tell that this is faked. So like, how many things like this are they getting away with where they're making it look like they did more than they actually did?
An important question indeed. However, perhaps even more pressing, why would MrBeast allegedly go to these lengths to deceive his audience? A message from an alleged former MrBeast employee gave a possible motive.
I was told that the philanthropy side was supposed to be Jimmy's get out of jail free card if he ever got canceled. They wanted Jimmy to win a Nobel Prize within the next few years. It's all just for clout and social status. I feel like them helping people is literally on the bottom of their to-do list.
It was a harsh conclusion, all right, but one that a certain group might agree with. Yes, people connected to Beast games were back in the press, but what was the game show being accused of this time? A Las Vegas television news station recently came out with footage, photographs, and further first-hand accounts from inside Beast games.
And it's like, you think it can't get any worse, and then it gets worse.
KSNV spoke with various Beast Game employees, all of whom went by aliases to avoid breaking their NDAs. From their accounts, the hierarchy on set was clear. At the top there were the higher-ups, aka producers, and other managerial figures, who mainly consisted of members of the MrBeast team. Then there were the production workers and medical staff, typically made up of local hires. And at the very bottom were the contestants. Of course, there was allegedly one very big problem with this pecking order, the fact that the people in charge had no idea what they were doing. According to contest wrangler Rick, it was clear that the MrBeast team had never attempted anything on this scale. And for how their first attempt at the big leagues had gone, well, Rick claimed the situation was beyond embarrassing and he would not be surprised if MrBeast's team was blacklisted from the industry. It was by far the most unprofessional production I've ever been a part of, Rick told KSNV, a sentiment a good portion of the seasoned local staff shared. A lack of communication, a refusal to give direction, and a fundamental inability to handle the production all allegedly become apparent during the initial days of filming. The setup, for example, presented a serious issue. The 2,000 initial contestants, all competing to be among the 1,000 that would get to appear on the show, were stationed in Allegiant Stadium in Nevada, where their accommodations reportedly consisted of sleeping bags and portable restrooms, roughly a dozen to be precise. 3 days into the competition, this arrangement had already allegedly proven hazardous. We had a guy come up to us with his sleeping bag, and his sleeping bag was covered in excrement, contestant wrangler Kara told KSNV. So that porta potty obviously overflowed, she claimed, adding that she'd only seen the restrooms emptied once during production. A producer then ordered one of the contestant wranglers to clean up the mess, with the threat of termination if they didn't follow orders. According to Kara, this worker was not provided adequate training or equipment to know how to deal with excrement and was extremely upset when she spoke with them afterwards. Together they searched the stadium and found gloves, allegedly without any help from higher-ups. The medical staff also allegedly had issues dealing with the MrBeast team and reportedly regularly had to remind staff that contestants needed to be allowed 24/7 access to the pharmacy station after they would deny contestants access. On top of this, the alleged lack of call sheets, the plans that changed on the fly, and the constant delays resulted in an environment of utter chaos that was, in part, allegedly intentional. See, employees were reportedly informed that MrBeast does not believe in schedules and that things only begin when he feels like he's ready. Production workers also weren't trained on what to do in medical incidents, which allegedly resulted in horrifying scenes, including a contestant who had a seizure being left for nearly an hour without medical attention. Situations like this also allegedly had to do with the fact that MrBeast's team had reportedly forbidden medics from stationing themselves on set, because they did not want to ruin the atmosphere, which with employees in black suits and masks was going for a mock Squid Games. This guy thinks he is playing a game, you know, and I looked him up, April, a medic said. I found out he's like all of 26. This kid has never seen danger. He thinks this is a game. This is people's lives he's playing with. People on set in Toronto voiced similar complaints about the alleged lack of professionalism. It's a Fire Fest kind of feeling, a crew member who quit during the early days of shooting recently told Rolling Stone. There's a reason why this level of production hasn't been attempted before, and it certainly should never have been attempted without people that know what they are doing. But since wrapping the show, has MrBeast made any attempt to set the record straight? Well, during his latest appearance on Logan Paul's podcast Impulsive, the YouTuber did open up about shooting. However, he expertly avoided mentioning the scandal the game show has been embroiled in, instead focusing on the achievements of the production.
We broke over 40 world records while filming Beast Games. It's my Amazon show dropping later this year. Yeah. Most contestants of any game show in history, largest cash prize of any game show in history, most cameras recording simultaneously of any production in history. I could go on and on.
The feats.
We built a city in the middle of nowhere. There's hundreds of contestants. When we got to that point, I was like, all right, now follow me. And I took them into the middle of nowhere, and there's walls. And then inside the walls is enough housing for hundreds of people, giant towers. I mean, and I can't say anything else because it'll spoil the show, but like, we spent over $15 million building a city.
And of course, the giving back.
We gave away over $20 million throughout the show.
But wasn't the grand prize like
5? Yeah.
In the wake of this scandal, MrBeast has continued to lose views, revenue, and subscribers, potentially leaving room for someone else to take his place as YouTube's top performer. But who? Well, in an unprecedented turn of events, Cristiano Ronaldo might pose the biggest threat to MrBeast yet. After launching his official YouTube channel on August 21st, the soccer star broke records by accumulating 1 million subscribers in under 90 minutes. Cristiano has since beaten MrBeast's record for the most subscribers gained in a month, earning 60 million subscribers in that time frame compared to MrBeast's 20 million. And while his following is still a far cry from MrBeast's current 300 million subscribers, who knows, it might take just one more scandal to tip the scale in Ronaldo's favor. And as the story unfolds, we can expect more twists, turns, and explosive revelations. The coming days and weeks will undoubtedly bring further developments, and it remains to see how this scandal will ultimately shape the future of the internet's biggest philanthropist.